Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop. I've got a molding plane I want to use, but it's not working yet. So let's show how to get this working, how to sharpen it, and have a little bit of fun making some molding. So this is a molding plane I've been wanting to restore for a while because I've got a project coming up where I want this particular molding on it. And in doing so, I figured it'd be a great opportunity to say, how exactly do you go about sharpening it and making everything as true and clean? The first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that all of my lines are perfectly straight. And as long as you eyeball down them, you should be able to get an eye of where they are. If they're not straight, that means that the plane is trash. You need these lines all to be perfectly straight in line, otherwise it's going to want to create a curvature. The next thing I'm looking at is the iron protrusion all the way around. I want to make sure it's sticking out the same amount at any given point, and not out at an angle, but all of them need to be out perfectly vertically away from the cutting edge. And in this case, it's pretty close, though there's a little bit of a discrepancy right here by this lip. So we'll be working on that. I can come in with a carbide awl and actually use that to scratch so that it is flat to the surface. This will give me a very close idea of where I need to do a little work on it or where it's very good to go. So with this carbide scratch, we can actually see where and how parallel we are. And we're just going to eyeball the distance from here to the scratch and up. So it should be a little bit thinner here than it is right here. So the more of an angle you have, the closer these two should be together. We just want to eyeball we're getting a clean amount all the way around. For the sole, I want to make sure it's nice and clean and straight. So I'm going to grab a straight edge, set it on here, and I can use that to check, like right here. There's a little bit of wobble in there. That might be doable, but I want to be careful with it. So we can check all of our locations and see how straight are they. If I come in here and hit this, I've got a little bit of a high spot here. And the historical method for cleaning up these high spots is actually to use a pattern maker's carving set that has a crank angle, and that allows you to get in here and flatten these out. In this case, there isn't much that I need to do, so I'm just going to hit this just a little bit back here, and I'm going to use a couple different ones to come in from different angles. This box edge, though, I'm not taking anything now, it's resting here and there, so now I can bring it back and get a nice clean cut. Now I've made a cut from one end to the other. I know this box edge is nice and flat, just taking off a little bit. For those inside, just ease them out. This is a very aggressive 120 grit sandpaper, but this will allow me to clean out. You can see I'm not going all the way to the outside edge on the other side, I'm just doing right here where it's a little high. Get that flattened out. For the outside curvature, I'm going to do something much the same, but this time with a square stock. And little by little, we can work at it until that's nice and flat. That's acceptable. That's what I want. All the way across there. Good, flat, true edge. Take your time, do it right, and it will come out. Just be patient. Now the iron, on the other hand, is going to take a little bit of patience and time. I need to do that on another rounded surface, and so if you wrap sandpaper around a rounded surface, you should be able to get a fairly easy method as long as you hold your angle correct. This takes a little bit of patience, but I'm making sure when I put pressure on it, I'm putting pressure straight in line with the tang of the iron. I don't want to be working it and trying to pull it one way or the other. I want to keep it straight down and push it as I go. And that way I'm taking off material in the bottom of the gullet and not as much on the sides. I don't need to take off much on there. I'm just working that bevel all the way around. For one that's as bad as this, I'm going to be starting with 180 grit because I really need to reshape this one a bit. And it goes very, very quickly to start with this. And then I'll work up through the grits, and I'll end with a dry around 1,000 or so. These do not need to be crazy fine edges, they just need to be sharp. And yes, there's a difference between sharpness and the last grit you used. If sandpaper isn't quite your thing, DMT makes these. They're called the Wave, and there's an inside and outside, and they come in a couple different grits. I have 600 grit and 1,000 grit-ish. Usually this is called coarse, and this is called medium fine, and that's about all I need for most of the molding planes. The nice thing about this is you've got all of these curvatures, and you can find the spot on the curvature where it fits, and then go from that point to a little bit smaller and just work that space down. Add a little lubrication, and you can slowly work these edges in. It's going to take some time, and it's going to take some patience, but it's worth it. What I'm feeling for is a burr on the back of the gauge. I want to feel a burr growing up right over here. And so now I've sharpened this from this corner around and up to around here. For this curvature, then we can just flip it around and find the point at which it matches here. Again, I'm feeling for that burr to form. And that lets me know I'm close to where I want to be. So I've gotten a burr on here now from there all the way around to a little spot here. I've got a tiny spot here where this was apparently ground down a little too far at one point, and then there's more burr over here. But I don't have anything on this little cove here. And the nice thing is, this is a flat surface, and this is a flat surface, so I can do these two surfaces on a regular sharpening stone. And I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's very easy to take a lot of material off here. I just need to take enough until we get that burr. And remember, the steel on these is considerably softer than you're going to find on your normal irons, so they work pretty quickly. You don't have to spend a lot of time on them. So now I've got a nice burr from one side up and around and all the way across. The other problem though is I've got a flat that isn't terribly pretty, and you're going to find this on a lot of old molding planes. Now the nice thing is you don't have to have that perfectly clean, true edge on a molding plane. The molding plane is designed to get you close, and then you can come in with something else to refine it and get rid of any tear out. But we do need to address this back a little bit more, and so I'm just going to take that over. First I'm going to start with some sandpaper, just lay it on here flat and see where we're at. I'm making sure that the pressure while I'm sanding is on the very tip of the cutter. And one question people might ask is, why am I using an orbital sander disc? Because I have hundreds of them that I have gotten at garage sales and such, and they're not bad sandpaper. I just have to be careful of the holes. And with that little bit, we've actually gotten rid of most of it. Got a little bit more to do up here, but I'm not looking for absolute perfect. I'm not getting rid of all of the pits. I'm just getting rid of enough so that I worked my burr up, and now I can feel my burr on the other side all the way around. Then once we've cleaned up the surface with the sandpaper, we can come over here and go through our coarse, medium, fine. And this is going to get us close to the edge that we want. Now I'm only doing work on all of these blades that have been sitting around for a long time, and it needs a lot of work. Most of the time, I'm just going to come in with my finest stone and do a slight touch-up. I'm trying not to remove much of any material on it. Just a little bit of touch-up when I need to use it. And I rarely have to touch the back once I've cleaned it up once, but this one's pretty well pitted, so we're going to spend a little bit more time on it. The last thing is I'm going to take a flexible strop, put it in my hand, put a little compound on there, and I'm just going to shape it to my hand. Now, if this is an edge that I used all the time, I would actually make a profile in a piece of wood and then load that profile with the compound and actually just do the whole thing at once. But in this case, I'm just going to do little step by little step and slowly work this. We're just doing that last little bit on there. And then we can come in here and shave with it. And yes, we're shaving. The last thing I want to make sure is that the wedge actually gets a good seat, and I want it to make contact all the way along. So I'm looking inside the escapement and making sure that it's all touching at once and has a nice little bounce tight to it. So it should be able to finger tight and go in fairly well. But then if I give it a little tap, it should get to the point where I cannot hand pull this out. And that's, that's what I want. I want it to be just set with a little bit of a tap, and it's good to go. So if we're actually setting up the iron, I'm going to leave it inside. I don't want it protruding out. And I'm going to set this in here, give the wedge a little tap tap, and then I can start actually tapping the iron in. And I want to stop just before it starts to come out. And right about there looks good. So I'll set that in, and it is just about flush with the sole maybe sticking out a little bit. Actually, from this edge, it's sticking out a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. Now the next thing is, on the body of these weird profiles, there is a sight line on here. This line is actually the angle that the plane should be at. You naturally think the plane should be vertical, but what you want to do is go up until that line goes right down the side of your body. So what I'm looking on here is I'm looking down the plane, looking at that sight line and making sure it lines up with that. My fingers are underneath, pushing it into the body, and I'm taking a very heavy shaving right now. And for this moment, heavy shavings are exactly what I want. I'm taking off a lot of material and I've got to get down. Once I get down a little ways, then I'm going to back this off and take a slightly cleaner shaving. Once I've hogged off the majority of the material, then I can come in and really set it in and get it dialed in to give a nice fine shaving. And with this one, I'm not looking for a crazy fine shaving. It is going to get us close to where we want to be, and then we can refine it with a scraper or other things. But right now we just need to work. There's a natural tendency to stop right before the end, and you get these little gullets. It's actually easier on a longer piece of wood because you just keep going, keep going, keep going. Those little pieces sometimes can be a bit of a pain. I want to make sure I go right out past the end. And we just keep going until we get that pattern close to it. This one, I'm running into problems with chips getting stuck in there, and they're actually hitting on the wedge and stopping, so I might need to come in and clean up that wedge a little bit. Also, as the profile gets bigger and you're cutting a wider area, it's going to take more force to actually push it through. And so you have to be a little more careful, otherwise you're going to jump and jam and jump and jam. Just take your time with it. And then eventually you get to the point where it just stops cutting, and I've got a nice round curvature here, and that's because this ledge here is now running into that, and there's nothing more for it to cut. And now we've got a profile. But no profile is perfect. There's a lot of little nicks and cuts, and that's where a card scraper can really come in and help clean out those little bits and smooth out surfaces. And it's amazing what you can do with a good clean card scraper. Sometimes you can even cut a card scraper to match the profile perfectly, but I usually prefer to do it in sections and just clean up the spots that need it. A little bit here, a little bit there, and then I'll use a different profile for each one of them. And then if you're one of those people who still like sandpaper, yes, you can come in and do that last little bit with the sandpaper. Just make sure if you do one section with sandpaper, you do the whole section with sandpaper, because it's going to change the finish absorption, and that means that you're going to have different colors if you don't do it completely. So whatever you do to one area, make sure you do to all of the others if you're going to pull out the sandpaper. Then you've got a nice profile all the way along there, and your molding plane is ready to go, at least for a few pieces. And then you're going to have to stop and sharpen it again, because you usually have to adjust them every time you want to use them. Then you can check how good you are with that sight line on here. Put this on the piece of wood and see if it lines up with the sight line. I'm not quite where it should be. I was off a little bit, but acceptable. As long as you're off the same amount or make them feather into the next one, that's really all that matters. And that's pretty close. I'll take it. So there you have it, a functioning molding plane. And I usually find that every time I want to grab one of these off, I have to do a little bit of detail to it. And in this case, I had to do quite a bit to it. This one was needing a good bit more, and I could take it a little bit more and be more fiddly with it. But most of the time, I'm just getting it to the point where it's going to be working and functioning. At that point, then I do the work. You'll find other videos on YouTube where they go into far more detail and make it very precise and really work on that bevel and make everything exact. And you can spend a lot of time on these. But the answer is, most of the time, you just need to do the work relatively well, and then you can come in and clean up your molding, because this molding is rarely going to match the one that it's going to butt up against, and you have to do a little bit of feathering between the two. So it's one of those things that this doesn't have to be dead on exact, it just has to be close, and that's really all these were intended to do. But do realize that every time you pick one of these up, you're gonna have to do a little bit of work to it. They don't stay sharp, they're gonna need a little tweaking, the mouth tends to jam up, the wood moves. There's a lot to these that have to go into them, and they take a good bit of work. The nice thing is Stanley found a way to replace these with a tool that needs even more work to set up. Yeah, it was one of those weird cases where these work really well, and the tool that went to actually replace them and made these almost non-existent actually requires more work. but one tool can do a whole bunch of these, whereas this, you've got to have one for every application. And so molding planes are a lot of fun to work with, but they are very tedious, so prepare yourself. If you want to see more on this, I do have several other videos on sharpening molding planes, as well as sharpening the cutters for 45s and 55s. I'll try and leave links to that in the video down below. It's one of those things that you're going to need skill on this. It's not something you can go watch a video and do. You're going to have to do it a few times until you get good at it. Sharpening those irons takes a good bit of skill. But once you do it a few times, you'll get the hang of it, and you'll be able to do it most of the time. It'll come out the way you want it. Every now and then you'll need to spend a little more time on it because it is a bit of a fiddly thing. But I hope you like this. If you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, snide remarks, things I did wrong, things I could have done better, let me know that down below. Thank you for that. And if you didn't know, that actually helps out the channel. So thank you for that. But if you really want to help us out, think about becoming a patron on Patreon. All the names scrolling over here, those are some of the patrons on Patreon. Members here on the channel, we do a bunch of giveaways and other things, and we try and have a little bit of fun with that. So if you want to help out with that, then you know what to do. Links down below. But I think that'll do it for now. And until next time, have a wonderful day. You have to be careful, though, with molding planes, is if you leave them around too much, you have to make sure the room is dry, otherwise they start molding. Okay, I know, you heard that joke coming. But one of the things you didn't know about planes is you have to be very careful that when you crash land them, you do so on beach.